Okay, so we're back to carry on with this journey through the chakras, and I'm now on the sixth chakra, and it's really, to me, the most exciting chakra of all, because it's the most intriguing, it's the most mystical, and there's not a lot of science to back it up, which is kind of annoying to me with a science background. I like to have some kind of solidity to all of the theories out there about this mystical center called the third eye chakra. Now, the third eye chakra, it's actually located if you travel up to the roof of your mouth and travel up a little bit further and then go all the way back through this area just above your eyebrows, the middle of your eyes, and you get to almost the center of the brain. And it's a little pea-sized organ. It's an endocrine organ, and it secretes with science backing. It secretes two very well-known neurotransmitters called serotonin and melatonin, and these affect our circadian rhythm. So it's what helps us to go to sleep at night and to wake up in the morning. And it's this balancing of serotonin and melatonin. Melatonin is what helps you go to sleep, and serotonin is what helps you to wake up. And it does affect our mood quite a lot, how much serotonin that we're producing in the brain. But what's really, really exciting is all of the history. So just this morning, I was looking at some of the history behind this third eye chakra, and it's the ancient Egyptians that have so much mystery behind the third eye chakra. There is so much symbolism in their ancient text, on their paintings, on their drawings, on their sculptures of this third eye, this eye of Ra, the eye of Horus. And what's really super interesting is that it goes right through other traditions as well. It goes through the Hindu tradition, and that's what we're focusing on today, because it's all based around the sixth chakra, which is part of yoga. So in yoga, we practice sending our energy up through the chakras from the base of the spine all the way up through to the sixth chakra, in this space here between the eyebrows at the center of the brain. And this is the seat of our energy center that activates the pineal gland. But what's really interesting is that it's not only producing serotonin and melatonin. There's a lot of theory and investigative work going on to say that it actually produces a molecule called DMT. And this is the molecule that actually gives us that fifth dimension experience that sends us into this transcendental state that transforms energy into creativity and intuition when we focus on it. Now, we're going to be doing a breathing technique today that will actually bring our energy up to this third eye chakra. And now in yoga, just a little bit before we start, is when I started practicing Kundalini yoga some years ago, we were taught that rather like a snake at the base of the spine, we have this sleeping serpent. And this sleeping serpent is the energy that sits at the base of the spine. And when we start to draw energy up from the base chakra, up through the body, we actually wake up this sleeping snake, and this snake separates into two, and it starts to come up the central channel, the Sushumna channel, this central channel that we've been working with for the past 5 days when we're pulling up energy from those chakras. And as the serpent wakes up, splits into two and starts to move around each and every one of the chakras. And where the two snakes join is the third eye. And this is when we awaken the third eye. We awaken our gateway into higher dimensions. So this is what we're going to be working with today. We're going to be moving energy from the base of the spine up through the sacral chakra, the solar plexus, the heart chakra, into the throat chakra, and then up into the third eye. Now, how we're going to actually do that is working with the breath, which is not a relaxing breath, I just might add. You've got to work for this one. It's quite a vigorous breath that you really need to focus on and do a little bit of practice on as well when you've got a bit of spare time if you're interested in this stuff. So not only are we going to be working with the breath, but we're going to be working with our visualization, our power of intention. And just for those skeptics out there, there's a little bit of science here as well, because as we're moving energy up the spine, just think about this. We're going to be squeezing and contracting the perineum muscle. So that's the pelvic floor. So just think about what we're actually doing here. We're squeezing the pelvic floor. And then we're squeezing the lower abdominals as we start to take this big, deep inhale all the way from the base of the spine. So we squeeze the perineum, we lock down the lower abdominals, and then we squeeze and lock down the upper abdominals. And then we squeeze the internal intercostal muscles of the ribs, which gives us a little bit more pressure, a little bit more contraction. And as we feel that energy start to build and grow, we put a little bit of tension in the throat muscles. And this is what really sends this energy up to the pineal gland, the third eye chakra. We take our tongue, which is a pretty big muscle in there, and we place our tongue up onto the roof of our mouth as we take that breath in. And then as we pass through the eyes, we take the eyes behind closed eyelids and we roll our eyes up like we're looking up at the ceiling without moving our head. Now just think about this. We're actually putting a little bit of pressure on the spinal column. And within the spinal column, we have a whole stream of cerebral spinal fluid that travels up from your tailbone all the way into the four ventricles in the brain. Now, when we put a little bit of pressure on the spinal column, it starts to accelerate this fluid going up through the spinal column up into the four ventricles of the brain. Now, what's that got to do with this breathing technique, and what's it got to do with the pineal gland and opening our third eye? Well, within our cerebral spinal fluid, we carry charged particles that actually induce electricity. Now, if we put pressure, if you think about this, it's like squeezing a toothpaste tube from the bottom up. If we're squeezing our body using the muscles, the perineum, the lower abdominals, the upper abdominals, the intercostal muscles, the throat, the tongue moves up, the eyes roll up to the top of the head, we're actually squeezing and accelerating the cerebral spinal fluid all the way up the spinal column. And when we do this, we create an inductance field. And this inductance field is what accelerates these charged particles up through this central channel. And when it hits the pineal gland, it starts to activate these little crystals that sit in the pineal gland. And this is where science is not quite up with what's being done in the spiritual realm, but the theory is that this activation of the pineal gland with this intent, with this breath work, with squeezing the muscle, starts to trigger the production of this DMT molecule. And this is the molecule that opens the gateway into higher dimensions, into our creativity and into our intuition. So let's have a little practice of this breath. And it does take a bit of practice. I've been doing this for years. I did mine this morning. Just after I start with a meditation with some breath work, and then I move into this third eye chakra meditation where we're really working with the breath. And with the power of intention, we start to lift that energy and activate the sixth chakra, this third eye. Okay, so before we start putting this all together, what you can actually do with me is, as you're sitting comfortably in a chair, squeeze up the pelvic floor. And we'll do this without the breath first. So you're squeezing the pelvic floor, and then you're locking down the lower abdominals, and then you're locking and squeezing the upper abdominals. So all three energy centers, if you followed my earlier videos that I've done over the last 5-6 days, we lock down these first three energy centers, and we start to move energy out of them up into the heart chakra. And when we squeeze the intercostal muscles of the ribs, so we lock down the ribs a little bit, and we send this energy with our intent up through the throat, and just a little bit of constriction in the throat. And this is almost like putting your thumb on the end of a hose pipe and applying pressure, which is really going to send that energy up into the head. And then as we take that breath up through the throat, we place our tongue on the top of our mouth. So we push this big muscle up to the roof of our mouth. The pineal gland is just above there. So we're putting pressure on this area, and then we roll our eyes at the back of our closed eyelids up to the ceiling, and we hold that breath in at the top. And it's really the important part is to try and hold your breath at the top for as long as you can. Now, this might be quite a long breath for some people, and I don't want you turning blue and falling off your chair. So if you need to breathe, and I'm taking way too long to get from the base of the spine up to the third eye chakra, then just keep going with your intention, with the muscles contracting, and just take an extra breath, and then come back to your breath so you can then hold it when you get to the top. So we're squeezing the perineum. Let's do it again. So we're squeezing the perineum. We're squeezing the lower abdominals. We're squeezing the upper abdominals, applying pressure now into those three energy centers. We're squeezing and locking down those internal intercostal muscles. They're the ones that are between the ribs, that pull the ribs closer together. And as we take that energy up, we just contract a little bit the throat muscles, take the tongue up to the roof of the mouth, and then we roll our eyes up to the ceiling behind closed eyelids and hold all of that contraction of muscles, like the toothpaste tube squeeze from the bottom all the way up to the top. And we focus on this point just above the center of our eyebrows on the third eye chakra. Now, you want to have a go at this with the breath. So here we go. Comfortable. And we'll start by just simply exhaling all of the air out. Nice and comfortable, nice and relaxed. And start to squeeze the pelvic floor, the perineum muscle. And then start with a very low, long, slow, deep breath in, very, very slowly. And we start to lock down that lower abdominals, the upper abdominals. Take that breath up with the locking of those muscles. We lock down the rib cage area, and we take that breath up through the throat as we constrict it a little bit. Take that breath up and place the tongue on the roof of the mouth. And now roll the eyes to the top of the head and hold it there, and place all of your focus on the area of the third eye. And hold that squeezing. Hold, hold, hold. Squeeze every muscle in your body. Really contract it. You can squeeze as hard as you like. And letting it all go and relaxing, and take a couple of nice, relaxing, long, slow, deep breaths. Now, if you put a bit of energy into that, and you really do lock down those muscles that are located from the base of your spine all the way up into your head. And you move your intention, your visualization, along with the breath, along this central channel known as the Sushumna channel. Will start to awaken the theory of the sleeping serpent that breaks into two snakes, that wraps around all of those chakras and meets up into the third eye, and will start to activate the pineal gland that will actually send us into this higher state of consciousness. So one more practice, and then I'm going to get you to close your eyes, and I will instruct you through a few of these just to give you an idea. And then what I'm really hoping is that at some stage you will practice this on your own in a bit of quiet space. It's really easy to do once you've practiced it a few times. And you'll do this on your own. And after 10 or 15 minutes, you will actually start to feel something shift within you. You will start to move energy, 100%. I totally guarantee it. So this is a great breath because, people meditate for years and don't experience anything. They sit there and they say, well, I felt relaxed and, and my thoughts slowed down a bit, but, didn't really sense any enlightenment or, creativity or amazing downloads. Do this breath work along with a little bit of meditation as well, either before or after. It's whatever works with you. And you will actually experience it very, very quickly, even if you've never meditated in your whole life. This takes a couple of practice sessions, bit of dedication, and some really heavy muscle squeezing if you really want to shift the energy and start to create an inductance field through this central channel and really get some electricity through this electromagnetic field that we have and send it up to the pineal gland to wake it up. Okay, so one more practice together. Exhale all of the air out, relaxing. Let's do this slowly. So we squeeze the pelvic floor as tightly as you possibly can. And you start to take the inhale slowly. Keep the pelvic floor squeezed, squeezing the lower abdominals, squeezing the upper abdominals. Intention and breath, take it up there all the way through to the heart. Squeezing the rib cage muscles, taking the breath up through the throat, constricting the throat. Take the tongue up to the roof of the mouth, apply pressure on the roof of your mouth. Take that breath up behind the eyes, roll the eyes up to the top of the head. Hold it there. Hold the breath. And if you can't, you can let it go at any time you like. But if you can hold it there and really focus on this space that is just above and between your eyebrows, you'll really start to activate this pineal gland. And exhaling it all out really slowly, relaxing. Okay, so we're ready. So I'd like to invite you to close your eyes. I'll work with the instructions, so I won't be able to actually do it with you. Hopefully you really put a bit of effort into this to really make it work for you. So let's close the eyes and let's start just simply by taking a few slow, long, deep breaths in and out. And everything is relaxed. Make sure you're comfortable in your chair. Just make sure you are. So move around a little bit. And it doesn't matter. You can be sitting back here, or you can be sitting on the end of the chair, on the floor. It doesn't matter. And let's do this. So taking all of the air into the body, big inhale. And exhaling it all out, we'll start to squeeze the perineum. The pelvic floor squeezes as we take the inhale. And lock down the lower abdominals. Taking that breath up into the upper abdominal, squeezing and locking them down. Squeezing and locking the intercostal muscles of the ribs. Take that breath up through the throat. Take the tongue up to the roof of the mouth, and that breath, that energy travels all the way up to the center of the eyes, rolling your eyes up to the ceiling behind your closed eyelids, and hold the breath there. Locking down all of those muscles through the body, squeezing tight, holding and lifting. Your focus is on the energy in the third eye. And releasing, letting that breath out. And just taking a few breaths at your own pace, nice and relaxed. The eyes are closed. The body is relaxing. And if you can, keep your focus on the area of the third eye. That space just above and between your eyebrows. And exhaling on your last breath, we start to squeeze the pelvic floor. Squeeze it tight and start to pull in that breath from the base of the spine, locking down the lower abdominals. Take that breath in, locking down the upper abdominals, the rib cage. Take that breath up through the throat. The tongue lifts and presses on the roof of the mouth. And rolling your eyes up to the top of your head, take your attention to the third eye. Locking and squeezing and holding that breath. Holding that breath for 3, 2, 1. And exhale it all out. Relax. Relaxing the entire body. Breathe at your own pace, keeping your attention on our third eye, on the Ajna chakra. And on an exhale, exhaling it all out, let's start to squeeze again the perineum muscle, the pelvic floor. Taking that breath up through the lower abdominals, squeezing and locking down, squeezing and locking the upper abdominals, squeezing the rib cage closer together. Take that breath up through the throat. Tongue is placed on the top of your mouth. Roll your eyes up to the ceiling behind closed eyelids. Place all of your focus on the space between your eyes. Hold it there. Lock those muscles down. Squeeze them tight. Work for this. Holding that breath. 3, 2, 1. And exhaling, allowing all of the muscles in the body to relax. Taking a few deep breaths at your own pace. Relaxing everything, keeping your focus on the area of the pineal gland, the eye of Ra, the Ajna chakra, our seat of the soul. 2 more breaths at your own pace. And exhaling on your last breath, exhaling all of the air out, and then squeezing and locking down the perineum, the pelvic floor, squeezing and locking the lower abdominals. Take that breath up through the lower abdominals, the upper abdominals, squeeze and lock down, squeezing together the internal intercostal muscles. Take that breath up through the throat, take the tongue to the roof of the mouth. Press it up, apply that pressure to the pineal gland, and take the eyes up to the ceiling behind your closed eyelids. Hold it there. Hold it there and squeeze. Hold that breath. Place your focus in between the eyebrows. Locking down those muscles. Squeeze and hold for 3, 2, 1. And releasing that breath out, relaxing everything. Relaxing, even breathing out through the mouth. Really relaxing, sinking into your chair if you're sitting in a chair. Moving a little bit, making sure your body's nice and relaxed. Your focus is still on the third eye. The doorway into higher states of consciousness. Our sixth sense. And on your last exhale, let's do this one more time together and really, really put everything you have into this one. So exhaling all of the air out of the body and start to squeeze the pelvic floor really tightly, and maybe you'll find your legs start to shake. Now squeezing and lifting, inhale. And squeezing and locking down the lower abdominals, the upper abdominals. Take that breath up through this central channel, up through the chest area, up through the throat. Take the tongue to the roof of the mouth. Feel that energy shifting and lifting all the way to the back of your eyes. Roll the eyes to the top of your head. Apply that pressure into the center of your brain and hold that breath at the top. Focusing on the area of the third eye, the space just above and between your eyebrows. Hold that breath in at the top, squeezing all of those muscles all the way through the torso. You're shifting energy, you're creating an inductance field. Your electromagnetic field is powering the third eye chakra. Holding 1, 2, 3, and exhaling it all out and relaxing that breath, relaxing the muscles of the body. A big, long, slow, deep breath out. And just at your own pace, inhaling and exhaling at your own pace. With your eyes closed, and if you can keep your focus on the third eye, between and above the eyebrows, the third eye. Just breathing at your own pace, described as the gateway to higher dimensions. The transducer to transform energy into our creativity and our intuition. And when you're ready, let's take our arms above the head. Straighten your arms and reach your fingertips all the way up to the ceiling. And now take your gaze and lift your head up, and when you're ready, opening your eyes and gazing up between the fingertips and pulling that universal energy into your body. Make a fist with both of your hands and pull these fists into the body. Placing your palms together just in front of your heart. From my heart to yours, namaste. And tomorrow we'll be working with the seventh chakra, the crown chakra. So I hope you enjoyed that today. And if you work that, hopefully you'll have the enthusiasm and the drive and a little bit of curiosity into practicing this on your own, in your own time. And that's when it'll start to really work for you, when there's no voice in the background telling you what to do. You know what to do. You've heard the instructions. It's pretty straightforward. It's just a matter of really working with your intention, with your breath, and really pulling up those muscles all the way from the pelvic floor. And as you do so, we'll wake up that sleeping serpent, splitting into the two snakes and traveling up through that central channel called the Sushumna, and coming up and meeting and firing up that pineal gland and sending us into that higher state of consciousness. So I'd love to know if anybody practices this. Please PM me and tell me what you experience. I've had lots and lots of messages from my students in their meditation workshops in the past, and there's been some pretty phenomenal experiences. So don't underestimate this breath. Okay, hope you can join me tomorrow. And if you're on the replay, then enjoy. And please message me and tell me what you thought of this breathwork. Namaste.